Hey, so welcome back. Let's recap where we're at. In the last video, we uploaded our CloudFormation template to the US East Virginia region. And if you look up here, we're not in the US East Virginia region. We're in the Ohio region. And now we're trying to replicate the same thing we did for the US East region. And I said that for a disaster recovery scenario, assuming that the US East region is down, you can come to another region, like we did here, the US East Ohio region, and you can run your template here. So that's what we did. We went to the Ohio region, and when we created our stack, we got this error. So why did we get this error? Was I lying to you? Well, let's go ahead and look at some of the details here. And it's good that this happened because that way you get to understand what's going on and you'll be able to retain this information. So if we look at the status reason down here, it says the AMI, the image ID, this one here, does not exist. Well, what do you mean it doesn't exist? Because we know that it worked for the Virginia region. Well, one of the things about AMIs, they are region specific. So in order for us to get this to work, we have to use a different AMI. Now we can always go back to the US East region. Or excuse me, we can go stay in this region, go to the EC2 service and get an AMI for this region. Well, if we do that, then we're hard coding the image ID. And so I want to show you a better way of doing this. And if we go back to our questions, we had a sample question regarding this here. And the question was, you were updating an existing CloudFormation template in YAML and wanted to make it more dynamic by forcing the EC2 instance to be created using AMI from that region. Okay, so then I presented some syntax here. Well, now we're going to get some hands-on regarding this question here. All right, so let's go back. So how do we fix this? How do we make the template pick the image ID based on the region? All right, so let's go to the documentation. And according to the documentation, it says, if you want to set values on a region, you can create a mapping that uses a region name as a key and contains the value that you want to specify for each specific region. You use the find-in-map intrinsic function to retrieve values in a map. So what we're going to do here, we're going to cover the question 4, and we're also going to cover the question 5 because now we're using a built-in function which is a find-in-map. And once again, as we get some hands-on training, we'll be able to retain this information. So scroll down here, and I like to stick with YAML. So we're going to have to add a mappings section to our template. In that mapping section, we're going to give it a name, and you can name it whatever you want. We're going to call it region map. And so what we're going to do is in our region map, we're going to have the region that we want to have AMIs for. So for now, we'll have 2. We'll have US East 1, and we'll have another region here, and we'll specify the AMIs like this. So let's go ahead and copy this. Okay, so this is the mappings is a section just like the resources, but as we saw in the previous video, the resources is the only section that's required. So if we go to mappings, we're just going to name it region map. And we're only going to have two options, US East 1 and US East. Let's see here. We're going to go with California here. We're not going to go with Ohio. We're going to go to California. Okay. And we can keep it as, we can keep the name as is. So we're going to copy the AMI. We're going to paste it here. And then now we're going to go over to the US West region and we're going to get the AMI. Okay, so we're going to click on launch. And we're going to go ahead and get the AMI ID here. Actually, I'm in the wrong region. So let's go ahead and copy that. Okay, and we'll paste it in here. So now we've created our mapping section. So now what we have to do, the next step is to tell our template where to get our image ID. And so the way we do that is, go back here, we can use the find in map intrinsic function. Okay, so let's go down here. Okay, and let's go ahead and open up another tab. So the intrinsic function, the find map, returns a value corresponding to keys in a two-level map that is declared in the mapping section. So if let's go down here to YAML, we can either use this syntax, this is the full function name, or we can use the short name. So we're going to go ahead and copy the short name. And what we do is we paste it here, and our map name is what we named it down here. We said region map. Okay, and the next top level key is we want to say get the current region. So what you do here is we use another intrinsic function, which is listed here in sample question 5. It's the ref. And what that does is it's going to get the value of the current region we're in. So we can do AWS region. And the second level value is this here, the name. Okay, so this is how we've tied this function to our resource. All right, so let's go back to CloudFormation. Okay, let's go ahead and create the stack. Okay, upload EC2, as we call it, my first EC2 instance. Okay, default settings, create stack. Let's go ahead and refresh it. Okay, looks like the resource creation initiated. Okay. All right, so let's give it a little bit more time here to create. All right, it looks like our instance was created in the California region. And just to double check, let's go back to the US East region. And we're going to go ahead and delete the first stack we created. And what we're going to do here is we are going to test this template again in the Virginia region. And the benefit of doing this is we can reuse this template in whatever region we're in, as long as it's supported in that region. Because sometimes there's things that are not supported in the region, and so that's why I chose California, because I know that it is supported in that region. So let's go back here. Okay, so now that stack has been deleted, let's go ahead and create the stack. And let's upload our template again. Make sure it's saved. Hit save. And my C2. Okay. All right, looks like it's going to work. Okay, so it looks like our resource has been created in the East Virginia region as well as the California region. And just to recap, what we did here is we went from hard coding the instance that we were going to use. In this case, it was a Linux instance, and the AMI was hard coded here. So what we did is we made it more dynamic, to where depending on the region that we're launching this CloudFormation from, we get to select the AMI down here. And so we've covered two questions here. We've covered the deployment question, and from working with this function, we know that the function name is find in map. So if we go back to this question, we know that we can eliminate these two answers. And so we have two here. We have find in map and find in map. So that's the correct name. And the thing that's different between these two lines is the reference here to the name of the resource. And by looking at the template, we know that the name is AWS region. And so we know that this is the correct one. And so as we see that by looking at the documentation and writing the code, that it'll help us to remember this. That way when we go and take the exam, we'll be able to pull from memory versus just reading and memorizing what we read. And so just take advantage of the documentation, just as I did, and just try to read it. Get errors just like I did. We got errors, things didn't work, and we just worked through the problems, and that's how you retain things. So once again, thank you for joining me in this hands-on lab, and we'll come up with some more. Thank you.